One summer day in 1994, the small town of Oakville was thrown into a state of bewilderment. Residents stepped outside, only to be met with an unusual sight. The ground was covered in strange, gooey blobs. These pale, jelly-like formations gave the streets an eerie sci-fi vibe, sparking curiosity and concern among the townspeople. But what if I told you that in some parts of the world, people have reported rain containing something utterly bizarre and seemingly impossible: human cells? That's right, you heard me correctly. Human cells, falling from the sky. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another far-fetched tale, let me assure you, there's more to this story than meets the eye. We're going to explore the facts, the theories, and the implications of this mind-bending phenomenon. So, strap in and prepare to have your world turned upside down. Discussions buzzed around town, and experts threw out various theories about the origin of this mysterious substance. However, as it turned out, the situation was more alarming than anyone had anticipated. Those who touched the blobs began to feel ill. To understand how this all began, we must rewind to that fateful summer. The appearance of the gelatinous blobs led many to speculate that they had fallen from the sky. After all, where else could such a bizarre phenomenon come from? Panic quickly spread among the residents, as this was just the first encounter with the goo that would descend from above on multiple occasions, each blob smaller than a grain of rice. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a puzzling mystery that would captivate their community. The noise was deafening as the mysterious blobs began to pile up on the ground and rooftops, catching the attention of everyone around. About 10 days after the first sighting, a local newspaper published an article about these strange formations. Despite this, there were few official reports explaining what they were. That changed in August when a worker from the National Weather Service received a curious call from an anonymous man. He claimed that hot metallic particles had fallen from the sky and burned holes in his children's trampoline. This prompted experts to take a closer look at the Oakville blobs. A local hospital examined the blobs under a microscope and made a shocking discovery. The substance contained human white blood cells. This finding led some to speculate that the blobs might be waste fluid from an airplane toilet. However, this theory was quickly dismissed when a spokesperson from the Federal Aviation Administration clarified that such waste is usually dyed blue, earning the nickname blue ice. The mystery surrounding the blobs deepened, leaving the community eager for answers. Another theory about the Oakville blobs linked them to jellyfish. Some experts believed this idea was possible, suggesting that portions of jellyfish could have been swept up into the atmosphere during a storm and then rained down. After all, it's not unheard of for animals to fall from the sky, but we'll touch on that later. However, with 6 separate occurrences of the blobs reported, it was hard to imagine jellyfish particles lingering in the sky for that long. On August 20th, 1994, the New York Times published an article claiming the mysterious goo was a hoax. This followed an analysis by the Washington State Department of Ecology, where scientists discovered that the blobs contained various cells of different sizes. Interestingly, these findings put an end to the theory about human white blood cells, as the tested cells lacked nuclei, which are typically found in both human cells and jellyfish. So, what kind of life lacks nuclei? That would be bacteria and some similar microorganisms. An expert studying the blobs noted that they had no clear structure, even under a microscope. In the end, researchers concluded that the blobs contained 2 types of bacteria commonly found in the digestive tracts of humans and other mammals. These bacteria are often present when waste is disposed of, leading scientists to speculate that the goo might be a kind of carrier system that travels through water and air. Unfortunately, the researchers admitted they had no solid evidence to support this theory, and to add to the mystery, the samples reportedly went missing before they could complete their investigation. Did the strange blobs really make people sick when they first appeared? Yes, several residents of Oakville reported feeling ill with flu-like symptoms after coming into contact with the blobs. However, whether the blobs were the direct cause of their sickness remains uncertain. Experts suggest that it might have been a coincidence, adding to the mystery surrounding the incident. As of now, the truth about the blobs is still unresolved. Now let's explore some other unusual things that have fallen from the sky. Unfortunately, some of these occurrences can be quite gross. For instance, in China, there have been reports of worms raining down and wriggling on people's cars. Some believed it was a case of animal rain, while skeptics thought the videos were fake since the worms seemed to only appear on vehicles and not on the ground. Others argued that worm rains are actually quite normal in March. Thankfully, that kind of rain doesn't happen where I live. The phenomenon of animal rain isn't limited to one place. It has also occurred in the British Isles, where kids in Scotland were playing soccer when worms suddenly started falling from the sky. This could be due to significant weather changes, but the exact cause remains a mystery. Interestingly, reports of animal rain date back a long time. In 1877, a bizarre tornado hit a farm in Southern California, bringing with it tiny alligators about a foot long. Then, in 1894, a tornado swept through England, reportedly dropping jellyfish on people's heads. Although some witnesses argued that they were actually tadpoles, the event was still incredibly strange. In 1876, something bizarre happened in Kentucky. Chunks of meat fell from the sky. If you're squeamish, you might want to brace yourself. Locals claimed the meat tasted like mutton. But researchers later discovered that buzzards flying overhead had likely been feeling sick and vomited their meal right into the air. Gross, right? This is just one example of a rare weather phenomenon known as animal rain, where creatures fall from the sky. Reports of animal rain date back to 1794, when French soldiers witnessed toads raining down during a heavy downpour near the city of Lee. So how does this strange occurrence happen? It can vary by species. For instance, frogs and toads often gather in large groups, and strong winds can lift them up and carry them over long distances. Another notable case happened in 1861 in Singapore, where fish reportedly rained down. A naturalist at the time speculated that walking catfish were migrating, and the wind might have swept them over land from one puddle to another, almost as if they were following the rain. The most widely accepted explanation for these animal rains is that there isn't really any falling involved at all. Instead, animals are often swept up by winds or other weather phenomena. This could explain why typically only one species of animal is reported during these events. Another theory points to tornado waterspouts, tornadoes that form over water, which can lift animals high into the air and transport them to distant places. This theory is supported by the fact that animal rains often happen after storms. However, it still doesn't clarify why only one species tends to fall instead of multiple animals from the same area. The mysteries surrounding animal rain continue to fascinate us. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. Throughout history, many of our greatest scientific discoveries seemed impossible at first. The idea that the Earth revolved around the sun, that invisible waves could carry sound and images across vast distances, that we could split the atom. All of these were once considered as outlandish as rain containing human cells. So, who knows? Maybe years from now we'll look